guys, what's up? It's Joe Rady from Rady's Rise. We're back here at Ed Morse Mazda in Port Richey, Florida. And then guess what? I have that Zoom sedan you've been waiting for. This is the all new for 2021 Mazda 3, but that's not the new part. The new part is this is a Mazda 3 Turbo with all-wheel drive. But before we get into this compact performance sedan, let's talk about what's going on here. Mazda, this brand that really created a name for itself about performance. Now, originally it was all about rotary powered engines, and that's how they won the coveted 24 Hours Le Mans, making them the first Japanese car company to ever do so. Over the years, they had that whole zoom feel and performance and the whole fun driving factor. Well, guess what? For 2021, bringing the Mazda 3 to that turbocharged level, having the all-wheel drive, I want to find out. This is a four-door compact sedan with a turbo, with all-wheel drive. What other compact sedan is out there that has all-wheel drive and a turbocharged engine? How about the Subaru WRX? Many people crave that Subaru WRX, that all-wheel drive performance. I get a lot of comments and complaints from many of you saying, hey, I don't want a manual Subaru WRX. I want an automatic. Well, unfortunately, they only have a CVT. Is this Mazda 3, when we're comparing the two, is this Mazda 3 the way to go if you don't want manual transmission, but you still want that turbocharged fun and that all-wheel drive that's gonna keep you planted to the ground? Let's go ahead, let's find out what this Mazda 3 Turbo is all about, what it's bringing to the table, and see if this is the one you should be buying out of the two, WRX or the Mazda 3. Let's go find out. Right off the bat, the styling. I really think that they do this styling that is very timeless, and it actually doesn't look so hard-edged like some of the competition. When you start at the front of the business, of course you're gonna see that beautiful soul red color. That is the signature color. So if we're comparing this to a WRX, the signature color for a Subaru WRX is definitely World Rally Blue. Soul red is the color for Mazda. Now, headlight design, I love what they got going on here. LED headlights, LED daytime running lamps, everything is blacked out on the interior. If you compare this to a Subaru WRX, you are gonna get some of those same LED features and elements. Now, what I do like is everything is super smooth. So you're not getting a bunch of vents stuck all over the place. There is some chrome trim that works with the grille. And I was thinking that with this being the turbocharged version, maybe if they would have went with a blacked out chrome finish, that might have been the better way to go because of this being something a little bit more sportier, but definitely balances well with the soul red, just a little bit of gloss black, and then we come across that grille. So multi-faceted pieces here, all gloss black. You have the chrome trim that mimics the design of the Mazda logo. Such a iconic logo when it comes to Japanese auto manufacturers, and definitely the performance that they bring to the table. You do have this lower lip that kind of extends out, and that is going to bring in air for the intercooler, for the radiator, because like I said, this is a turbocharged intercooled engine. One thing that I do like about the Mazda 3 compared to the WRX is that it does have a little bit more of an aerodynamic design, especially when it comes to that low hood that slopes down right into the front fascia. Now, when we get up onto that hood, simple, clean design. Nice rise on each side, and that is about it. You don't have a bunch of folds, a bunch of creases to even waste your eye movement with. Now, when you come around the bend, what are we working with? Wheel and tire setup. You're gonna get these gloss black wheels, multi-spoke wheel. If you're wondering, well, Joe, what is the size of this wheel? This is an 18-inch wheel. So if we're comparing it to the WRX, WRX has an 18-inch wheel as well. These are a little narrow, so you're only looking at 215 on the width, 45 series sidewall. I wish they would have went just a little bit wider on the wheel and tire setup, but the great news is you're gonna get some nice sized brakes, fully ventilated, and you're getting that all-wheel drive that's gonna help you keep the power planted to the ground. Very, very clean, no fake vents, nothing like that on the fender. And then as we kind of go into that fender line, I like the way they kind of do a nice roll to that crease as it goes down the side of the vehicle. We have a metallic gloss black on your mirror caps with a little bit of LED turn signals built in. Here's another point where I think the dark chrome would have just really knocked it out of the park. Instead of having this bright, shiny metalwork, I think the dark chrome finish would have just really put that nice sport touch on it. You do have a sunroof, And I do like the flat black side sill extension, especially as you come towards the rear, it flares out a little bit further into that passenger door. Nice round curves, color matched on the door handles, good size on the quarter window. And then you'll see, like I was saying, it would be nice even at the rear to have just a little bit more width on those tires. The 215s are just a little too narrow, but I do love the rear pillar, especially the way it flows nicely into the fender and then into the taillight treatments. Now taillights, they do a great job, just like on the headlights when it comes to the design. LED on the brake lights, your turn signals, and your backup lights, everything's super clear. My only zonk is, I wish there was a trunklet spoiler. And I'm not talking about some big, huge whale tail or something like that, but just enough to give it that little extra something. Make it metallic black to match the mirror caps, and I think you have a nice cohesive package all the way around. You have your turbo badge, there is that Mazda badge. One thing they do that's smart is they hide the button for the trunk release right underneath the badge, so you don't have to worry about anything else. And then as we drop down on the turbo model of the Mazda 3, you actually get a different exhaust. It's a larger exhaust outlet on both sides. It's got a nice slash cut, oval in shape, and both of those are functional at the tail end of the business. But why don't we pop the hood and see that turbocharged goodness that this Mazda 3 is bringing. All right guys, we got the hood popped. I am gonna zonk this. You do have a prop rod on the WRX. You do have hydraulic hood struts. Underneath that hood though, decent on the engine cover. I like the way they got the Soul Red with the turbo badge there, because we do have that turbocharged goodness. Close to the firewall, you will see that turbocharged engine. So you're looking at a 2.5 liter inline four turbocharged engine, 250 horsepower, 320 pound-feet of torque. It is mated to a 6-speed automatic transmission and that all-wheel drive. 0 to 60 in about 5.6 seconds. MPGs, you're looking around 23 in the city, 31 on the highway, and the vehicle weighs around 3,255 pounds. So thinking about this compared to the WRX, you are getting a little bit better fuel economy, not as much horsepower. There's about a 18 horsepower difference between the two, but obviously a lot of that could be kind of negated when it comes to gearing in the ratios of the transmission and all the other add-ons that come with it. But why don't we go ahead, let's fire it up and hear what it sounds like. All right guys, we're inside this 2021 Mazda 3 Turbo. Remember, it's not a Mazda Speed. Mazda says that they want to be more grown up of an auto manufacturer and kind of leave the Mazda Speed behind. I say, who the hell wants to grow up? But anyways, I know you're probably saying to yourself, well, Joe, you know what? This is actually an interesting question you bring up, comparing this to a WRX. I maybe would have never even considered it. But because I watch Rady's Rides all the time, and I like the way you kind of pose things, I'm really starting to think a little bit here, because I wanted a WRX. How much is this Mazda 3 Turbo though? The way that you see this one optioned, turbo with the color, the whole 9 yards, you're looking at MSRP of right at $31,000. Let's see what you get for the money. To the door panels. This is where the Mazda 3 is going to blow the WRX right out of the water. You can see the soft touch material, the nice high quality materials. The stitch work is beautiful. You got the Bose optional sound system. That aluminum speaker cover looks like it's right out of a vehicle that costs twice, maybe even 3 times as much as this Mazda 3 Turbo. Even the way they bring the chrome trim there into the door handle. The armrest has a nice soft material, and you have actually a decent side pocket there for the door. You're easily going to be able to put 2 foot-long subs from Subway, load them up with pickles, extra onion, the whole 9 yards. Now, when you get to the dash, soft touch material, there's more of that premium feel with the stitch work. I even like the way they designed the AC vents, all cohesive. And then this is going to be a little bit of a mixed bag. Now, if you like a infotainment system that's integrated, you might like the WRX better, but this has that iPad style, they almost call it a floating infotainment system screen. If you're measuring size, like if you have your ruler out and you're out with your friends and you're measuring up your size, you're going to win with this infotainment system. It's an 8.8-inch infotainment system compared to an 8-inch system in the WRX. The bad news is, unlike the WRX, this doesn't do anything if you touch it. It just puts fingerprints on it. But it is a larger screen. You do have the Mazda direct drive control knob. Another area where this is going to win hands down is the backup camera. Updated camera technology for 2021. Super clear. My only zonk, why isn't it using the whole 8.8 inches? If you have 8.8 inches, you need to be using it. Use it or lose it. That's what I always say. So it would be nice to use up that space. And then you're just going to use the direct drive control knob to go through your different functions. Of course, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. As we work our way down, the way they integrate everything is super clean, very thoughtful, and that's where the style, this gets definitely more style points than the interior on a WRX. Dual climate control, nice feel of the knobs and everything. You got heated seats, heated steering wheel, your start-stop button, USB, a nice cubby. We've tested it out. You could put easily 8 Twinkies down there. 2 cup holders. The only problem is that if you get a larger beverage vessel, it's going to make contact with this, or you're not even going to be able to fit it in there, and then you're going to spill it all over this beautiful interior. Soft touch material. This is going to control the 6-speed automatic. So if you don't want to drive manual, or you don't know how to drive manual, you could go CVT in the WRX, or you could go with the 6-speed automatic. I love the material on it, the shift boot. You do have a sport switch here. You put in the sport, that's going to change how the transmission and the engine behaves. Little bit of gloss material, but it's not gloss black. It actually has material showing underneath it, which is kind of cool. There's that Mazda direct drive control knob. You got your volume knob. Super soft. This is where comfort, if you value comfort, you're going to love this interior. Slide it back. You could get into your bag of Lay's chips in there. There's another USB, a 12 volt, and then you lift that bad boy up. Look at this. You got a little divider. So if you're the type of person that maybe like myself grew up in a family of 6 kids, and you kind of like to have your side of things and somebody else could have their side of the things, you don't really like to share, then this is perfect. You could have your Twinkies over here, and maybe they could put their Snicker bars over there, so you're not touching each other's Twinkies and stuff. Unless you want to touch somebody else's Twinkie, that's your business. Close that up, and then the seats. Really, really comfortable. Maybe not the sportiest of seats when it comes to bolstering, but definitely comfort and materials. This Mazda 3 wins hands down. It is manual assist, which for a $31,000 car, I would like to see electric assist for the passenger, but I do have electric assist over here for the driver. And of course, we have our standard size sunroof, which is wonderful. But why don't you come over here to this beautiful thin spoke steering wheel. I want to show you behind the business end of the Mazda 3 Turbo. All right, guys, business time behind the wheel of this Mazda 3. Here's your electric assist, real simple for the seats, and that really is nice to have that lower lumbar. You don't get the beautiful brushed aluminum pedals like you do in the WRX, but what you do get is 2 memory seat settings and electric assist, and this steering wheel. Nice thickness. I love the leather, thin on the spokes. It's a classy looking steering wheel. You do have plastic buttons on the back of the wheel. I wish they were a little bit larger. Maybe you've heard that before, but I wish these paddles were a little bit larger to go up and down the 6-speed, tilting and telescoping steering wheel. And then the dash is simple and straightforward. You have an analog tach, you have a digital speedometer, and then you're gonna have an analog coolant and fuel gauge. And then you could go through different information in the center there. Very, very tasteful. Of course, you're gonna have your lane keep assist, your blind spot monitoring. It almost looks like a real speedometer, like an analog speedometer, but it's digital. Nice touch and a head-up display. So it's kind of, for me, when it comes to gauges, I do like the gauge layout here. I'm kind of going more towards the WRX, but it's one of those things. You're gonna have to see what you value the most. Let's get to the back seat and see how much room we have in this Mazda 3 Turbo. All right, guys, backseat time in this Mazda 3 Turbo. The Mazda 3 is definitely a little bit more cramped in the backseat compared to the WRX, but the seats are more comfortable. So I guess if your rear seat passengers can handle a little less headroom, I think that they'll be a little happier just because the seats are more comfortable. So it's one of those things. It's all a give and a take. You do have a single pocket on one side on the passenger seat on the back portion. You could easily put, I would say, 3, that we might be pushing it, 2 personal pan pizzas from Pizza Hut in there, maybe 3, but be light on the pepperoni, please. The bad news is that in either vehicle, this one or a WRX, knock knock, who's there? Nobody's home. No USB, no 12 volt, no rear AC. No 2 cans and a piece of string, nothing. But like I said, the seats are comfy and you have very, very nice padding and 2 cup holders here on the armrest. But why don't we go ahead, let's get to the trunk because I want to see how this Mazda 3 Turbo drives. All right, guys, time to get into the trunk. Like I said, real simple. You're going to hit that button underneath the Mazda logo. Opens up nicely. You get a nice wide opening and plenty of room, even with this being a compact car. So what are we looking at? You're looking at 20.1 cubic feet of space with the seats up. Fold the seats down, you're looking at 47.1 cubic feet of space. And it's nice the way that they have the handles easily located so that you could fold those seats down. We lift up the cargo mat, and of course you do have a spare as well, which is something to point out because a lot of vehicles, especially once you get a little bit more performance oriented, are leaving those out. You could option them in sometimes, but they'll just give you a can of flat fix and a hope and a prayer to make it home. But if you're ready, I'm ready. Let's go on throttle in this Mazda 3 Turbo and see how it performs. All right, guys, we're in the 2021 Mazda 3 Turbo. Right away, comparing this to the WRX, you just feel the higher quality of materials on the interior and also the wonderful feeling. Like the seats are very comfortable. The armrest is very comfortable. So if you want a little extra comfort, but you still want performance, this Mazda 3 Turbo might be the perfect recipe for you. Let's go ahead and do a little bit of an acceleration test. I have it in manual shift mode. On throttle, here we go. So the wonderful news is you are getting the power to the ground very effectively. There was no slippage whatsoever. One thing I noticed is that the I don't know if it's obviously the ECU or what's going on, but it doesn't really let me rev the Mazda 3 Turbo very high through the rev range, and that could be for a couple different reasons. Just because you have a red line like this one is at 6,300 RPM doesn't mean that your vehicle makes power all the way up to 6,300 RPM. So that's something definitely interesting to look at. I'm going to make a U-turn and we're going to do another on throttle start from a dead stop and see how it goes. Dead stop, first gear, on throttle, here we go. See, even though I have it in manual shift mode, it's not letting me go really even close to 6,000 RPM. So very, very interesting on how that is. Let me go ahead and slow down a little bit. Back to first. We'll do a rolling start. On throttle. Okay, now it's letting me go higher, but I definitely can feel the engine is running out of steam as you get closer to 6,000 RPM. And to be honest with you, same news with the WRX. The WRX does not make power all the way through the rev range, but one thing is for certain, this 6-speed automatic is very, very smooth shifting using the paddles. It shifts when you hit that paddle very quickly. I have it back in automatic mode to see how it's going to behave here, but having it in sport mode allows you to hold on to that gear a little bit longer so you stay in the rev range so that when it's time to go back on throttle, you're right there. So there we go, on throttle. Brakes feel good. We don't have any Brembos or anything like that. Brakes feel great. The one thing that definitely is going to separate the WRX from this is that this, remember on the Mazda 3, they went back to a torsion beam suspension out back instead of the multi-link. So that definitely, for somebody who's gonna take it to a higher level handling wise, going down a tight, twisty road, I think that's where the WRX is definitely gonna shine, even with the CVT, because of that multi-link rear suspension. The all-wheel drive system, though, in this Mazda 3 does work very, very effectively for sure. All right, guys, on throttle, here we go. On the brakes, in automatic mode. The chassis feels very balanced, which is great. But like I said, I think as you turn up the wick and push it a little bit harder, I'm not so sure that that torsion beam rear end is going to give you the feedback and the handling that you come to expect, especially when the WRX has that multi-link rear suspension. Right, guys, on throttle, 6-speed drops down, we're off. So overall, when it comes to ride quality, it still rides really well. And when it comes to wind noise, I think that the WRX definitely has a little bit larger of an issue with wind noise and road noise. So if you're looking for performance, if you're looking for all-wheel drive, and you don't want a manual, this could be the ticket for you, especially when it comes to all the finishes on the interior and of course the design. I mean, beauty is always in the eye of the beholder, but I really believe that Mazda's doing a great job with their styling. I mean, it's very, very sporty without being too over the top. The Soul Red is absolutely drop dead sexy. And as you can see, just driving here, especially if you have a longer commute, I think you're gonna enjoy the Mazda 3 Turbo more than the WRX. But we're gonna go ahead, get back to Ed Morse Mazda and wrap this one up. So I'll see you in a split second. All right, guys, it's been another great day with this Mazda 3 here at Ed Morse Mazda in Port Richey. I definitely gotta thank Brian, Bill, and the rest of the crew getting us access to this turbocharged Zoom Zoom powered sedan. I don't know, it's one of those things that you really have to ask yourself, what do you want more? If you're looking for something that has turbocharged power, has all-wheel drive, but yet has that higher level of a refined interior, who knows? This Mazda 3 may check off all the boxes and belong in your driveway, but I really think you need to compare it to the competition like the WRX to really wrap your mind around who you really are and what really moves you. But if you want to keep seeing these types of things on Rady's Rise, leave a comment in the comment section. If you're new and you're on your way out, hit that subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile coming back for more. If you are a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Rady's Rise family. If you want to help us keep making great content just for you and the channel, you have 2 ways you could do it. First link, hit that one. You could become a Rady's Rise Patreon member. Second link, get yourself the spread shirt and get yourself some Rady's Rise merch. I got to give it up to the camera woman, the videographer of the century, of the millennium. Definitely my wonderful wife, Lori. Show her some love in the comment section. She's out here busting her butt. Thank you, Lori, for all your hard work. And just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.